runs as deep as your scars. You pulled me from the clay, set me on a rock, called me by your name, made my heart whole again. Lifted up and my knees know
back. We're going to take our 3-minute break. that you would reach them in the way you want them reached, and that you would grab their hearts, Jesus. And we thank you for that. In your precious and holy name we pray. Amen. So I got this idea to preach on storms, which I don't really know where it came from. I find it ironic that we're having a snowstorm. We're in the middle of one, and supposedly we have a second one coming, if I'm correct. A second one coming tonight, more snow. I'm praying for a snow day tomorrow. I forgot to add that in my prayer. So I'll do that afterwards. Somebody remind me. But I realized, first of all, I love to watch storms, but I also love to listen to storms. Okay? But there's two different things here. If I'm home by myself with all 6 kids, I'm petrified of storms. I'm scared like crazy. I'm like, everybody plug in your phones and everybody grab snacks and you're ready to go to the basement. Okay? Now if Nam's home, for some reason, when his presence is there, he doesn't even have to be like right next to me holding my hand. Just if I know he's in the room, I'm cool. I'm your typical Ohio girl, and I'm probably on the front porch sipping a Coke. And if Thomas has this picture, this is probably me on the front lawn, and I'm trying to tell you guys, oh, there's a funnel cloud, and oh, it looks really bad in Granville. I better text so-and-so, and oh, I better call my grandma. That's her way. It's looking really bad. I'm like that lady. But if Nam's not there, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to be hiding inside. I don't know what it is. It's just the comfort of knowing he's there. And the kids get a little interesting. So as I was studying for this, I got myself really confused. I also was really tired. But what I came to realize, I think God was trying to show me something. It really wasn't me just being tired. Because as I was looking up different verses and different things for this message, I kept getting confused on the 2 different stories. Because if you know, there is multiple Bible stories.
That person's mine.
Which one is it? This one? Can you hear me? Good? Okay. This mic doesn't like me for some reason. Okay. I kept getting myself confused because if you know, there's multiple Bible stories that have storms. And the 2 that I've either preached on or that I'm working on right now, they're really close together. And so I realized in my sermon I was mixing up verses when I meant to just stay focused on this one storm. But I think God was trying to show me something because they were so close together. And it reminded me, you guys remember, I think it was like 2 years ago in the spring, we got hit with those really bad string of storms. And I think that's when it did a lot of damage up in Dayton, if I'm correct. But anyways, we all got up in the middle of the night because it was supposed to be really, really bad, so everybody headed to their basements. In the middle of the night, we're exhausted, and if everybody remembers correctly, we all got the all clear. I think it was like a half hour for us, we all had just gone to sleep. Of course, everybody else is asleep, I'm still awake. And there goes tornado sirens again. And it's like, wait a second, we just went through this storm, why are we going through a second one? Those are the ones I hate. Like, might as well just sleep in the basement. For all you people who have finished basements, God bless you. Like, I would just sleep down there. But it got me thinking. It's kind of like how it is in life for us. We see that one storm coming, and we get through it, and we think we're in the clear, and then here comes another one. Or we see it coming, and we're like, seriously? Like, this is... Same thing. Comes for a couple months, clear for a couple months, and then you got another month of storms. I think of 2020. 2020 was like a series of storms, but it wasn't just like 2. I felt like it was just repeated. Like, the news was like, here's a new storm, and everybody's like, everybody shut up, turn it off, turn the news off. We don't want to hear about it anymore. We don't care. Like, we can't listen to it anymore. Years ago, I don't know how many years ago it was, so I'm just saying years ago, when Nam and I were told to start a church. Had major challenges and sacrifices. If you know Nam and I in the very, very, very beginning, which was Jeff and Lisa, we went through major trials to get to here. Major trials. And if you ask Jeff and Lisa, they would tell you it's been like storm after storm after storm after storm for Nam and I since we started the church. Which reminds me of that little old lady, because it's like, that's what I want to be like. Like, what storm at this point? I just want to be going through it, just like minding my own business. Life goes on, okay? So I think I got to this point where I thought maybe storms might be over. You know, Nam and I made it through. We did it. Like, we did what God asked. We were faithful. And hopefully they're all clear, right? We're in the clear, right, God? Like, we can go to bed, right? We can go to sleep. We can relax. I was wrong. I was really wrong. I didn't realize heading into 2020 during a pandemic that I'd be pregnant and find out, you know, what we were going to have, all the complications with River, and the circumstances that took place on top of a world pandemic. That's crazy to me. If I think about it, I'm not sure if I really realized what was happening at that point. So where we're going to start is Mark 4:35 through 39. So if you'll turn your Bibles there, please. So on that day, when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us go across to the other side." And leaving the crowd, they took him with them in the boat, just as he was. And other boats were with him. And a great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking into the boat, so that the boat was already filling. But he was in the stern, asleep on the cushion. And they woke him and said to him, "Teacher, do you not care that we are perishing?" And he awoke and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, "Peace, be still." And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. So what I'll tell you guys here, if you don't do this, please do this. Anytime you're reading a verse, like think of your morning Bible verse, go back and look what's before that. Don't always take it just at what you're looking at. Go and read what's before that and then after that. Click on, if you're doing it through the Bible app, click on read full chapter. Okay? It's important because we can read this and take it for what it is right here and not truly understand what is happening. We're missing pieces. So I'm going to give you the background really quick. Right before this, if you guys know, this was the miracle with the little boy in his sack lunch that his mom had packed for him. Okay? It was a tiny little sack lunch. They fed thousands. It was a miracle. A miracle took place. The disciples were there. This is very important that you understand this, that the disciples were there. They watched it. They were a part of this huge miracle. So basically, we are the disciples. We were there with Jesus. We saw it firsthand. We got to experience it, every part of it. We saw that Jesus was the real deal. It was not us as disciples or people hearing about this. Like, I heard about this. I wonder how true it was. No, we were firsthand. We were right there. We saw it. It was amazing. Peter, I will never question Jesus again. How could I ever question Jesus again? Look what he just did, right? But wait for it. What does this verse tell us? Mark 4:35 through 36. On that day, when evening had come, he said to them, "Let us go across to the other side." And leaving the crowd, they took with them in the boat, just as he was, and other boats were with him. Let us go to the other side. Don't just look at it as let's go to the other side. What is he saying here? Let us go to the other side. When God wants to take you to the other side, what has to happen? That means God's going to have to take you through something to get there. So I'm going to say that again. God has to take you through something to get you there. That's tough. The other thing from this, as he was in the boat, so it made it very clear, we're going to have to go through something. But he's making it very clear. I'm going to be in the boat. I'm in the boat. Listen,
I need to know this. If I'm going to go through something, I need to know, hey, God's going to be here. I do. Because I know that I can't do it on my own. I can't. This is where we should trust him and know that he is actually physically with them on the boat. But what in the world were they afraid of? It's not me just in the boat saying, he's with me, I know he's with me. Even though he's not physically here, I know he is. He was physically in the boat, like they could see him. He's in the boat. You just watched what he did. He's in the boat. What in the world are you afraid of? I look at it as almost like a warning. I think he was warning them. We're going to have to go through something, but don't worry because I'm with you. I need you to understand that I'm here. My presence is here. This is the blessing you have asked for. For years, this is the promotion. This is the advancement in life. This is where you wanted to go. You wanted to go higher. That's what was on the other side. That's what all that is. The disciples got into that boat excited for the future, just as we would get excited. Especially when we see our blessing in the distant future, we get excited, right? We get really excited. We talk about it, we dream about it. Some of us pour money into it to get ready. There's a lot of things we do to prepare to get ready for that. But what happens? Why do we lose our excitement? We lose our excitement just like the disciples did because they see the clouds beginning to swell. That's what they were seeing. The clouds are swelling. But wait, God, why are the clouds swelling? Why is it getting dark? I thought you were taking me to that new job, to that great advancement, something great. I thought that's where we were going. I didn't know we were going into another storm because right now this looks like another storm. Mark 4:37. And a great windstorm arose, and the waves were breaking into the boat, so that the boat was already filling. So we actually know the boat was already filling. This isn't just a storm hitting the boat, okay? It's actually starting to fill. And this is what's hard. We think that when we are in the will of God or in the presence of God, everything will be great and smooth. It's not true. Just like I mentioned Nam and I starting the church and the storms and the trials that we had to go through. I was surprised, that's being totally open and honest with you, I was surprised when I went to a 20-week ultrasound, and obviously we prayed against it. We said, it's not true. But after appointment, realizing this is really happening. We're going to have a baby born with half a heart. It doesn't feel like I thought it would feel. How many in here for 2020 would say, this does not feel like I thought it would feel? 2020, just like this boat, it started out a little difficult probably with the storm when it first started. But now we're seeing the boat was already filling in Mark 4:37. That means we went from difficult to dangerous. This isn't just scary now. This is dangerous. This is life-threatening at this point. We've lost all control just when we thought things would calm. It was going to get worse. Many of us have asked in 2020 and 2021, what little bit we have, where is Jesus? And some don't mean that rudely, like that he's not shown up. But some are asking, where is Jesus? Where is he? We haven't heard him. We haven't seen him. We set out to sail with a different purpose in 2020, and now the clouds are swelling again. What happened to the excited disciples that saw the miracle with the fish and the bread? What happened to them? Because I'm sure They came from those miracles all pumped up and ready to go and just believing Jesus and trusting him, and they got on that boat with pure excitement. I think about Christians, and this is not to condemn anyone. This is being honest, because we've all been there. I've been there. Okay? What about all the Christians in April of 2020 that were like, we can do this. We were made for such a time as this, and we bulk ordered toilet paper, and we were like throwing it out of our cars, like, here, let us help you, and we're like delivering groceries, and we're all and we're excited. Okay? We're really excited, and the churches are pumped up. We're ready to go. We're prepared for this. And it comes July. How many of us were like, we're done, right? Like, is this over? Like, this is a joke, right? I mean, this was time after time after time. We're just like, I just can't do this anymore. Like, this is nuts. For Christians, I think it was eye-opening. It's eye-opening for all of us, but for Christians, I think it was especially eye-opening, because I think sometimes we get too comfortable. Okay? Too comfortable and affected by culture. We've been kind of just riding the waves of the storm when we should not have been impacted like we were in a negative way. What I mean by that, what happened with the disciples, they didn't necessarily do something terribly wrong, but it was their reaction. The disciples lost their peace. How many of us could say they lost their peace? A lot of us could. We panicked. Joyce Meyer put this perfectly. You cannot rebuke the storms in your life if you have a storm in the inside of you. The disciples could not rebuke the storm because they lost their peace and were as stormy as the storm. But when Jesus spoke out of his reservoir of peace for the wind and the waves to be still, immediately there was calm. Guys, that's really powerful. The moment they lost their peace, things began to change. Because there was only one thing and one person that was peaceful. The boat wasn't, the ocean wasn't, and the disciples weren't. But you got Jesus sleeping on the boat. And not once did Jesus look up and say, oh, the boat's filling with water, and there is hurricane strength winds, which it says, my goodness, I better do something quickly. Even Jesus, he did not panic at that. I think he could just nonchalantly, he got up and he's like, oh, look at the water. Like, oh my goodness, he didn't panic. He kept his peace. Mark 4:39. And he awoke and rebuked the wind and said to the sea, peace, be still. And the wind ceased, and there was a great calm. You guys don't see him yelling. I don't see him freaking out. He rebuked the wind and the sea. But can we also talk about how powerful he is? Because I think we forget that, and the disciples forgot the power that was in their boat. He rebuked the wind and said to the sea, peace, be still. A great calm. My question, the other thing I thought about, because I ask a lot of questions when I'm looking through stories of the Bible. I think that's just how I am. And if you know me, I ask you a lot of questions. And I understand it now, but I asked this originally. Don't you think God could have warned the disciples? Right? I mean, they're pretty close and they're pretty tight. Isn't that the same for us? Are we really close to God, especially as Christians and believers, that God could say, hey, this is getting ready to happen? The problem is, God doesn't give us that heads up. And there's a reason why. Because he knows we'd be too afraid and never make it to the greatest blessing for us. We'd never make it to that other side. Peter is my favorite guy of all the Bible, and I think it's because I relate to Peter. He's a rough and tough guy. He's not your normal disciple. I can imagine Peter, the one asking all the questions. Like, I can find it kind of comical. Peter's just asking questions like, wait a second, God, like, what's going on here? But he didn't give not one of them a clue. Not even his favorite one. Like, hey, this is what, I'm just giving you a heads up. Don't tell anybody else, but this is what's going to happen. So just be prepared and keep everybody else calm. But I also can imagine Peter being the one that's carrying on. Just carrying on this whole time. I can see the first wave and Peter's ready to just lose it. He knew fear would step in their way. I look at it and I think God didn't say, hey, Foundation Church. He didn't say, hey, Jeff, hey, Dawn, hey, Brent. I just want you to know, your pastors, they're getting ready to go through a really fierce storm. And on top of the storm, it's going to be during a time where a pandemic's going to hit the world and the world's just going to lose their mind. So I just want you guys, his leadership and elders, to be prepared. And Jeff's laughing because it's comical. We didn't get that. We don't get that. The thing is, though, will we allow fear to sink in? Or will we realize that Jesus is with us? Sadly, we saw a lot of families, we saw churches struggle in 2020. A lot of people I know that were like really strong mentally and physically in 2020 came, and they were so full of fear. And I struggled with that. Like, I thought you were like a rock, and now you're petrified. I'm confused. But it was how to stay above the water and not sink. Churches were really reminded, what's your story? What's your foundation? What do you build on? I know for us, there were a lot of major discussions with our team and a lot of refocusing and reorganizing. And I have to be honest, and I have to say how impressed I was with our team and how solid they were and are. Especially a leadership that could back up our family after what we've been through. This was one of the biggest eye-opening things for me. And we should all be very proud to be part of Foundation Church. Whether you're watching online and you're a part of there, or if you're in here tonight. But real quick, I'm going to try and wrap this up so we can get everybody home before roads get bad. If I could ask the worship team to come up. I still got a couple things I want to cover here, guys. So in the beginning of the story, the storm started. And so I want everybody to picture this in their minds. If you got to close your eyes, that's fine. But when this storm started, everything was really, really loud. Okay? I want you to picture yourself in the boat. You could hear waves hitting the other waves and cracking against the boat. You could hear the sea roaring. You could hear the rain beating against the water and the wind howling, right? This is a major, major storm. And then you have the disciples yelling in fear. Jesus is asleep. So if he's asleep, what is he? He's not only quiet, but he's silent. Jesus was silent in the midst of the storm. Jesus was teaching them the same thing that he's teaching us right now. for 2021 and for the future. Jesus wants us to see him and feel him in the silence. Jesus wants us to see him and feel him in the silence. So when my life is falling apart, your life is falling apart, it's not gone from difficult, it's not just difficult, it's gone from difficult to dangerous. Your boat's filling full of water. So basically, you're on the brink of death. And instead of saying, "Where are you, Jesus?" remembering that silence is there. That means he's probably sleeping right next to you. Not probably, he is. He's sleeping right next to you. The reason he's silent is because he has a plan. He doesn't need to say anything. He didn't need to do anything. He knew what was happening. We have to know that he was taking us to the other side, to something better. But for that moment, we had to rest peacefully in a storm. Listen, if I was on that boat, I think of my kids. If I was scared, but I realized Jesus was right there, I would have curled right up next to him, closed my eyes and slept, knowing that nothing was going to happen out of his control. There's one thing we can all agree on. Most times in our lives, we're all going through something different at different times. 2020 was a year where we all happened to feel 2020. Right? Everyone saw and felt it. All of us had our own individual things added, I get that. But we all were a part of 2020. What I want us to picture is all of us as disciples sitting in that boat. We should know that we're heading into a storm, that Jesus is in our boat, that he is with us in every situation we face. Because we are believers, we get to go into that storm with peace. There is no more going into the storms with fear. We know that we will get to the other side. You don't need to know the why or the how to the storm like me. Something I need to break myself of. You don't. Don't ask why. Don't try to figure it out. Just know there's a storm. Go curl up next to Jesus. We need to see and feel Jesus in his silence, and we simply need to know he's there. We have to learn to hold your peace and let God work the miracle.
Thank you, Kayla, again for bringing a word to us tonight that absolutely straight will convict us. And I appreciate her more than she knows for filling in for me too. It's given me an opportunity to focus on working on some other areas and figure those out. And I hopefully, as you're watching online and as we're figuring the sound out, it sounds right. But I'll tell you what, Kayla's message and talking about the storms and just me being able to listen and replay everything that we've gone through in our own lives, I can't imagine as you guys are watching what you've gone through too, right? And the things that you probably replayed in your mind. But man, am I thankful that we serve a God that's bigger than every one of those, and we can lean on and rely on Him. Man, am I thankful for that. And man, in these moments, it just brings me closer to Him and just wanted to say, God, thank you. Thank you. Real quick, as I wrap up here, as I close this out, as we're finishing service, one thing I want to make you guys aware of is next week, we're going to do something a little bit different for our service. We are actually going to be having our service in person on Saturday night. That service will be on Saturday night because of obvious reasons, right? There's a game that's going to be played on Sunday night, and not because we think that game's more important than having service on Sunday night, but because we want to give you an opportunity to not have that conflict, and you can come to service and be in person and have that opportunity. But also, if you are not able to make it on Saturday night, we get that this is kind of late notice, and we get that this is only a week away, less than a week away. We're going to be doing something a little different. We're not going to live stream our service. We're actually going to record it, and you'll get to watch the service on the live stream the next morning. So we're going to actually have that live Sunday morning at 11 for you to watch. So we're trying something new out. We're going to see how it works, and hopefully it'll work for those that watch from home and those that aren't venturing out yet. So you're welcome to give if you feel led to. If you feel led to support Foundation Church, you can do that. You can go to our website, or you can go, or you can mail in to our P.O. Box 39, Granville, Ohio. Or we'd love to have you come in person next week if you want to give. You say, I'd like to do that in person. Come next Saturday and join us. If you're in here and you want to give, we have the orange buckets all over the room. So thank you guys for joining us for service. It was good. Hopefully you can join us next week, and you have a blessed week.